I was on my own a lot, but I didn't mind it. I've always been a bit of a loner, and boxing's a lonely sport. You don't lose it, it's your hometown. Run him out of town. And I was like, it looks a bit like Mr. Bean as well. I'm not losing to Mr. Bean. Eddie Hearn, who was quite new to it, jumped in, nearly lost his wig on the way in on the top rope. It's more his wig, and he'll love that. Metaphorically, I'd slit his throat to get that win, because that win means everything to me. The promoter's greed is doing boxing damage. Where Tyson Fury is now, and the stuff he's saying, the way he's behaving, and his performance against Ngannou, I can't see him getting in with Usyk and fighting him next.
Welcome back to In The Zone. I'm with Carl Froch, of course, and this is in association with Gambling Zone, the trusted online gambling comparison site. Let's talk about the state of boxing. Carl, I'm sure you've got a view or two about things. I mean, we've got celebrity fights, we've got crossover fights. I think Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor started that whole thing off not that long ago, really. What do you think of where boxing's headed right now?
I don't know where it's headed. The landscape of boxing is changing massively. The audience, the demographic of that audience is changing. You mentioned Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor, but that's somebody who's a master of their art in Floyd Mayweather. He's like one of the best fighters of all time. Retired 50 fights, unbeaten. He's 50-0, wasn't he?
And Conor was brilliant in his
Conor
own
McGregor
field.
was brilliant at his lighter weight. He's not so good in his heavyweight. He's not as big a puncher, and he's struggling at the minute, and he's making a comeback, and I think he needs to just stay retired and enjoy all the money he's made. I've got massive admiration for Conor McGregor. I think he's had a fantastic mixed martial arts career, but he needs to sort his head out, and he needs to stop fighting, I think, in my opinion. He fought Mayweather, got outclassed. Mayweather took his time. It was easy for him, and for me, that showed that crossover fights between two different arts probably shouldn't be happening. But then you get Francis Ngannou flattening and losing a split decision to Tyson Fury, arguably one of the best heavyweights of the current era. So it's difficult because you can't say it's a total mismatch. It's probably bad for Conor McGregor going in there with Mayweather, because Mayweather's that good. He's exceptionally good. He's so technically proficient. He don't get hit. He's awkward, even though he was retired and past his best. That was a bad comparison. The Ngannou-Fury fight made you think, oh, hang on a minute, maybe somebody out in the mixed martial arts world can compete with a professional boxer. It wouldn't happen the other way around. You wouldn't get a professional boxer in the cage because there's too many different areas and attacking areas. They can use their legs and they can use elbows, and they're good on the floor grappling. And obviously, as boxers, we're stand-up fighters. But the crossover stuff in terms of the YouTubers and the celebrity nonsense, I just think it's ridiculous. It's a money spinner. It makes money. And if it makes money, it makes sense. Jake Paul, for example, performing clown. KSI, he's trying to have a go. He talks a good one. Absolutely useless. Who else you got?
Because you saw the Tommy Fury
Dylan
fight,
Dennis.
didn't you?
Yeah, I saw the Tommy Fury fight. That was on BT. I was commentating on that one. And that was just a poor, low-level.
You said it was the worst fight you've ever seen.
It was awful. It was probably one of the worst fights I've ever seen. But since then, there's been another worst fight I've ever seen. So that one's second in place to Tommy Fury and KSI. That was awful. KSI was jumping around the ring doing star jumps. Tommy Fury couldn't hit him. Couldn't give himself any room because he's a novice pro. And they're making mega money because they've got this big audience that tunes in and watches them on pay-per-view. So fair play to the YouTubers for making the money and tapping into a market to maximise their income, because that's what life's all about. You want to make as much money as you can to give yourself the best possible life in the Western world. That's how we're motivated. You know, it is what it is. We live in a secular society where we're trying to get material things. The only way you can get them and get homely comforts and luxury items is if you can afford them. So bring your money in, and they've cornered the market and they're maximising the money. There's not many of them doing it. There's only one Tommy Fury and one Floyd Mayweather. Who else is doing it? It's not a big audience of boxers that are tapping into this market and making loads of money. And even on the YouTube stuff, you've got Jake Paul, Logan Paul, KSI, that Dylan Dennis, who I'd never heard of before, and then you're running out of names because there's not many of them. So I think it's a limited,
shelf
not
life.
long term.
Yeah. So
thing
you
that's
think?
gonna be
So
happening.
do you honestly think that's a flash in the pan thing? That
Yeah,
it's
I
not
do.
that it's not going.
I
to
can't see how you can watch that crap. And I'm sorry to be like
blunt.
so blunt with it, but it was absolutely fucking diabolical. Which I said on my YouTube channel, Froch on Fighting. Get a look. And
That's a second plug.
It was awful. It was awful.
Yeah.
Like, it's not watchable.
Yeah.
The show was great, and the green Lamborghini and the ring walk and all the razzmatazz.
But is
Brilliant.
it not just
But then
serving
when
the
they
new generation, though, Carl?
No, because
do we,
the new-
do
they
we not
must-
have to move with the times?
No, because the people watching it are going, oh, what they're doing? Is that it? Oh, that was rubbish. And they come away, because I was in a pub with a load of young kids watching it in Nottingham, and all the young kids would come up to me saying, oh, dear, that was crap, that was rubbish, that was not like when your chin grows at Wembley, was it? And it's not like this, and it's not like when you watch Nassim Ahmed fight. You know, these kids that still watch boxing, that are watching that. But I think it is a different audience. I don't think any of the lads and all the and the girls that are watching the YouTubers, I don't think they watch the proper boxing anyway. And if they want to watch that crap, more fool them. So it might have a longer shelf life than what I think. I might be wrong, but I don't see how that is sustainable at that level. It's awful.
Okay, so that is the celebrity boxing. The crossover stuff.
Yeah, crossover stuff's
Now,
interesting.
Yeah, because Ngannou, off the back of that fight with Tyson Fury,
He's now got a world ranking,
he got into the top 10 of the
Yeah.
WBO rankings.
which has
Now,
upset a
what
lot
does
of
that
people.
say? But what does that say to those on 11, 12, 13 who've worked all their lives as traditional boxers to get into the top 10 and then just see somebody from, another format of fighting getting in at 10?
Work harder and put a performance that Ngannou put in against the world champion.
Is it right?
Well, would it be right to not have him ranked in the top 10 if he's floored Tyson Fury and lost a split decision? How could you say that actually he couldn't compete in the top 10 or the bottom 5, like rank number 6, 7, 8? If you've got Dillian White and Derek Chisora, them sort of gatekeeper fighters. I mean, Dillian White, he failed a drugs test and he still wants to be a mix in the world heavyweight division. But if you went down the list and went to Pulev or Helenius and them sort of fighters, Povetkin, who's probably about finished now, how would Francis Ngannou get on with them? And they're ranked inside or just outside the top 10. He'd probably beat them, but he's not done it. So I understand the people that saying he shouldn't be ranked. He's only had one professional fight.
Yeah.
But if he's gone, was it 8 or 10 rounds? I think it was 10 rounds with Fury and flattened him, and he looked like he was in the fight, then how can you not rank him inside that? Maybe he shouldn't have been ranked. Maybe he shouldn't get a ranking. Maybe they should say, now you definitely belong in the professional ring.
Yeah.
Now have 2 or 3 more fights and then we'll see. So I understand he probably shouldn't be ranked in the top 10. Maybe that's a mistake by the WBC. It is a bit of an insult to the other fighters.
Yeah, that's
But
what I'm getting at.
he'll justify it. Maurizio Sullivan, the WBC president, will justify it by saying he's just lost a split decision to number 1 or number 2. So how are you going to do it? But if a Saturday League plays, say someone in the FA Cup plays a top team, they don't automatically then go in the Premiership, Premier League next year, do they? They're not allowed to. So I get it. But it's one of them, and it's an argument that's probably not worth having.
Okay, so that decision has obviously raised a few eyebrows, and we've touched upon the Super 6 format, which you took part in, which was brilliant. 6 fighters fighting each other, the best in their division. But boxing is so diluted at this moment in time. And, we've touched on how in Saudi we've got Deontay Wilder and we've got Anthony Joshua
Yeah.
fighting on the same night, just not each other.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So why can't we just cut to the chase? Why can't the promoters see by diluting boxing right now with fights that's not going to capture the imagination, you're actually doing the brand, the sport harm?
Because of greed, I think. It's greed. They're getting as much money out of the system that they've got with, or the relationship they've got with the Saudis, and the amount of money that's in the pot. Why put AJ in with Tyson Fury and have that decided straight away when you can put him in with somebody else? Put him. Who's he fighting?
Otto Wallin.
Otto Wallin and Deontay Wilder. He's fighting Joseph Parker.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a bad fight, is it? It's not a bad build. But we all know, boxing purists and boxing fans that understand the game, realise that Anthony Joshua should be fighting Deontay Wilder next. And they were talking about it 7 years ago. And 5 years ago, it's like, I want you next, I want you next. So 5 years
gets
later,
tiring,
they're on
Carl.
the same card, they're on the same bill.
Yeah.
So the promoter's greed is doing boxing damage. But the model which the Saudis work from, so they'll lose money for a show. They'll lose a lot of money. In England, Frank Warren, aka Bricktop, and Eddie Hearn, they want to make money when they do a boxing show because they need to make money because they've got staff and they need to pay wages and they need to survive. You know what I mean? At the end of the year, they need to make profit. The last show that the Saudis put on, Ngannou against Tyson Fury, generated something like 60,000 pay-per-views on ESPN in America and whatever the gate money was, and it netted round about £16 million. So that's your net income after all your expenses. No, sorry, it grossed. Let me get this right.
Yeah.
Let me go back to my business and
So that's got to get less than that.
It grossed 16 million quid. It cost them 125 million. So they spent 125 million, and the revenue that 125 million brought in was 16 million. So they lost like 109 million quid or dollars or whatever. So they made a loss of over 100 million to put that show on. So when you've got a business model that's losing over 100 million for one fight, that's not something that's sustainable, certainly not in the Western world.
It could be there.
But in the Middle East, it's probably sustainable because what they're doing is they're promoting their country, Saudi Arabia. They're trying to bring people over to it. They're trying to get acknowledgement, and they're trying to bring in people to their country and show that, look what we're doing. They're doing it with football, they're doing it with Live Golf, they're doing it with the Formula One. So they're doing it with the boxing. So the promoter's greed is going to go, yeah, all right, where are they? Where's His Excellence? And I don't understand, is that a royal title? Sorry, I apologise for my ignorance, but is he His Excellence? Like we will call the King Royal Highness or His Highness.
Yeah, His Excellency, yeah.
His Excellency, what? I don't understand what these princes are. Like they call him His Excellency. I don't get it. Maybe I need to do some research. But
they're stately figures of their nations, right?
Right, okay. So these people that have got bottomless pits of money, it seems, and trillions of pounds, are basically coming into our sport and taking away our biggest fights. We've had Anthony Joshua out there with Ruiz in that first fight. We also had him against Alexander Usyk.
Yeah.
And then we've just seen Fury and Ngannou, and now we're going to see AJ and Deontay Wilder eventually. And I don't think
it feels like it's overtaken.
I don't think AJ's
Vegas now, right?
No, but Vegas.
So Saudi is now the new home of heavyweight boxing.
Yeah,
it feels.
But Vegas didn't pay that much on site fees and didn't sort of steal fights that probably should be happening here. We've got an undisputed unification heavyweight title fight.
It's been a while since we've had that.
Yeah, it's been 1999, Lennox Lewis. And we've got an English guy in there, Tyson Fury. And I love him all over him, and he's turning the fans against him at the minute. Wouldn't it be great to go and watch that at Wembley Stadium? But you've got to fly out to Saudi. The reason you've got to fly out to Saudi is because they've bought the show. They've taken it from us, our lovely sport, our beautiful sport of boxing, is out there because the money involved. And you wouldn't turn the money down as a competitor, as a promoter. But there's ways it can be worked better, I think, and I don't think it's doing the sport any good.
So how do you find the Joshua Wallin fight? How do you look ahead to that? I mean, don't forget, he ran Tyson Fury quite close, right?
Yeah.
Gave him was a pretty bad cut.
Yeah, I thought Tyson was awful that night. I thought he was slow, took him lightly. He wasn't on point. I don't think he was motivated for that fight. He had a bad night. Wallin had a good night. Similar to the Ngannou fight with Fury. But he still went the distance with Fury. Cut him bad. A lot argue that fight should have been stopped because the cut was that bad. But I think AJ could make easy work of Wallin. But I'm talking about the old AJ that believes in himself. So the current Anthony Joshua that finished to Helenius in round 9 or 10 after Helenius got tired and he's quite old. And then before that, you know, he lost twice. He lost to Ruiz in the rematch. So he beat him in the rematch. He lost to Ruiz in the first fight, got knocked out, or stopped, or whatever, retired in the corner. Some people say he quit. But that was quite a bad loss, I think, that he's not recovered from. I think his heart's not where it needs to be. I think he's lost belief, and mentally is not where he needs to be. So the back-to-back defeats with Alexander Usyk...
That was damaging.
I think so as well. And that just sort of cemented the mindset from the Ruiz loss. Even though he beat Ruiz in the rematch in Saudi, it was a run, snatch and grab scenario. It was smash and grab. He sort of ran, held, boxed, kept out of the way. Ruiz came in, 25 stone, like a fat blancmange. I'm sorry, he was well out of shape. He looked awful. And AJ sort of kept out his way and thought, I've done this on points, got my belts back. So he ticked the box, got his belts back. But where's AJ now? Where's his confidence coming from? because I'm
Does
hearing
he have a legacy to speak of?
he's done a lot for boxing. He's done a lot for the sport. He's put it back on the map. You know, since my fight at Wembley Stadium with 80,000, he went and did the same. Apparently, there was a few more people there, but I don't know who was counting. I don't know who had the numbers, the official numbers. So we both sold out Wembley Stadium as much as we could because you know we filled it as much as the British Transport Police would allow us to. So then he's gone on and he's done massive amounts of boxing. He's brought the attention on professional boxing. He's put it in the highlights. So you know he's done amazing things for our wonderful sport. But in terms of his legacy and who he's boxed and who he's won and what he's... I mean, he's lost to Ruiz in a bad knockout and he lost to Usyk twice.
But we shouldn't forget he's a 2-time heavyweight champion.
He's a 2-time heavyweight champion.
That can't be disregarded.
Because he lost to Ruiz and then he won the title back when he beat Ruiz. So a guy he should never lost to. So that's why he's 2-time heavyweight champ. And he climbed off the canvas to beat Vladimir Klitschko in a great night at Wembley. A 42-year-old guy who'd been on the sofa for 18 months, retired. He beat him in a close fight, and he did what he needed to do. But when you put it into perspective, how many world champions has he beat? How many title fights has he had alongside how many world champions he's beaten on his record? You know what I mean? He's beaten 2 or 3 world champions. It might be more than that. It might be up to 5 actually. He ain't got a bad CV, but when you look at the CV of the champions he's beaten, the timing of when he did it, like I said earlier, the Klitschko's quite old, and then losing to Ruiz, and then losing to Usyk twice. You have to look at that for where it is. He's got a lot to do to have his legacy cemented. He's got to probably beat Usyk in a rematch. If he can't beat Usyk, maybe he needs that fight with Tyson Fury, which may not happen. Because I just think that the way in which it's looking like it's panning out now, he's going to fight on the same card as Deontay Wilder.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's going to fight Deontay Wilder. I think he's going to fight Ergovic. Because when he beats this Otto Wallin, his IBF ranking's going to put him up there to the point where he's number 1 and 2 with Hrgovic, and that's a fight he can win because Hrgovic is quite small. Yeah. Deontay Wilder knocks him El Sparko in round 1. I've always said that. Deontay Wilder comes out round 1, goes for him because AJ's tentative. He's frightened of his own shadow now. He's got no belief, and I think Deontay Wilder comes out and throws a bomb and lands on his chin, and AJ falls over, and he don't get up. Whether he can get up or not, he's not going to want to get up. So that's how that fight ends, and that answers the question: why isn't the fight happening now in Saudi? Because if he does that, it's over. His career's finished. Career curtains. He fights Otto Wallin, gets paid.
Right. What do you want to see more? Do you want to see Wilder Joshua or Joshua Fury?
Both, really.
No,
Both.
but if you had to pick one.
Well, I've got to see Fury against Usyk. I've got to see Fury Usyk before I decide. But if I could only have one, I'd like to see AJ against Deontay Wilder because I think AJ can beat Deontay Wilder if he believes in himself because he can box and move. He's Olympic champion. He's got the skills.
But you just said you can see him getting knocked out in the first round.
Knocked out in the first round with the mindset he's got now. Absolutely. So I'm not contradicting myself, but if he gets his head right, he's now with Ben Davison, a different trainer, and if he turns up and he believes in himself and he's sparring, his camp's good, he should be with Robert McCracken. Rob McCracken will get him right for him, but the respect's gone now, so that's not going to happen. But the old AJ, who climbed off the canvas against Klitschko, and who gave Dylan White a really good fight and came through some sticky moments and beat Povetkin and you know beat Takam after getting his nose headbutted in round 2 or 3 and come through sticky moments and rematch Ruiz. That AJ, maybe not so much the one who rematched Ruiz because he did run and hold and it was a job. It was a ticking box exercise to get his titles back. But if AJ can rediscover himself under Ben Davison, I'd rather him fight Deontay Wilder and do a job on Deontay Wilder and out because Deontay Wilder's not a good boxer. He's not a boxing man. He's limited, but he carries that devastating power. So it's dead exciting. Will AJ get clipped? Will he get chinned and go over? I think so, based on his past performances. But if AJ gets it right and gets his head right, AJ could outbox him, maybe get clipped with one that he half sees coming, survives sticky moments, but then gets it into round 7 and 8, and then Deontay Wilder gets tired, then AJ puts it on him. But that'd be a great fight. I think AJ against Fury, I just think at the minute Fury uses his height and reach and range and his size and he's able to just box and just keep it on the outside. I don't think that's a very good fight, I don't think. I think Tyson Fury beats AJ on points quite easily. Maybe an outclassing job.
So AJ is to fight around Christmas time. We have to wait till February next year for Usyk against Fury.
If the fight happens, it's been announced.
Well, it's been announced.
Tyson Fury, he's out of shape, he's saying all the wrong things. He's going to get paid an obscene amount of money, so he might take the fight. I've got my reservations.
He's much bigger than Usyk.
I'm not so sure that fight's going to happen.
You don't?
In my heart of hearts, if I said you're going to get pushed off a cliff if you answer wrong, do you think that fight happens in February or not? I'd say no, I don't think it happens.
For
That's
what
just me.
For what reason?
Because of where Tyson Fury is now and the stuff he's saying, the way he's behaving, and his performance against Ngannou, I can't see him getting in with Usyk and fighting him next, which is in February, based on where he is now. I just can't see it happening. He's too
volatile.
He's volatile, but he's a bit wild and he's unhinged and he's saying like mad things and he's talking like, it don't matter, whatever, it's just another boxing match. I don't care. I'm not interested.
Has he lost the appetite?
And I watched his Netflix series with his wife, and he's a troubled soul. Like, based on my opinion, based on psychology of human beings, which I've studied at Loughborough, and I'm not a psychologist. I'm no Jordan Peterson, but from what I'm seeing in Anthony Joshua's body language and the stuff that comes out of his mouth and the performance against Ngannou, I'd be shocked if he fights Usyk in February. But there's that much money on the table because of the Saudis. Maybe he takes it and he thinks, sod it, I don't care, I'll take the fight.
Do you question his hunger?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, he's financially made a fortune. He's in a right good position, which he keeps telling everybody. When he's shouting and swearing absurd profanities at people.
That was quite not unusual. We've heard it and seen it before, but it did catch my eye. His demeanour.
Yeah, it's disrespectful. It's stupid. It's embarrassing, and it's a shame, really, because
He doesn't need to go down that road.
I'm a massive Tyson Fury fan, but I'm always honest to tell it how it is. Tyson Fury made his professional debut on the undercard for my fight with Jean Pascal. We was promoted by the same promoter. I trained with him in Castlebar, County Mayo for 6 weeks. I know his dad, John Fury, really well. I know his uncle Peter as well. It's like, I've got nothing against Tyson.
Yeah.
But I just say how it is. And he's not doing himself any favours. From what I'm seeing on the comments on YouTube and all social media, it's turning the fans against him. And I think he's a troubled soul. And hopefully he can turn up like the guy that fought Deontay Wilder 3 times, put in a performance and keep them belts in Britain. But I think if he does fight Usyk, that fight could go either way. I'm making him the slight underdog. Even though, to start with, I'm making him the favourite because of the sheer size of him. Usyk's a proper fighter, proper strong mind. He's a warrior.
I really hope it happens.
I can't imagine
it's one fight I want to see.
I can't ever imagine Usyk getting beat by anybody.
No.
Because he's that good. But who knows? A good big one always beats a good little one. But it's fascinating.
Yeah.
And I hope it does happen. But I'm just saying, based on what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing, Tyson Fury's now past his best. He's on the slide. He's big anyway. He's got this big weight round his waist, but he struggles to lose it now. He's in his mid-30s. He's financially free. Listening to him and watching him on that Netflix documentary, he's mentally a little bit troubled. And I just think that he's on the edge. And when you're on the edge, anything can happen.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
You've been on the edge a few times. In fact, we have to leave it there. Carl, thanks so much for being such a great guest. Honestly, I think we could have carried on talking for another 3 or 4 hours.
I feel like it's gone too quick. We need another 2 hours, don't we?
Yeah, come back, will you, at some point?
Yeah, let's come back.
Thanks to Carl, and thank you to everybody watching or listening. This has been In The Zone with me, Manish Bhasin, in association with Gambling Zone, your trusted online gambling comparison site. And I'll be seeing you soon.